Tonight in Britain, the most dangerous time isn't midnight. It's the moment you step outside and realize no one is coming to help. Welcome to Power and Policy UK, the channel where power is questioned, policy is examined, and the stories shaping Britain are explained without noise or bias. Tonight, we uncover a troubling reality unfolding after dark across the UK. Rising violence, vanishing police presence, and a nation increasingly on edge. This is not opinion, this is what's happening. Britain is on edge tonight, and as darkness falls across towns and cities, a growing sense of unease settles in with it. Across the UK, nighttime violence is surging at a pace that has left communities frightened, emergency services stretched, and police forces struggling to cope. Streets that once felt safe after sunset are now viewed with suspicion. From city centers to quiet suburbs, incidents of assault, stabbings, robberies, and antisocial behavior are becoming disturbingly common, raising a question many people are now asking out loud. How did it get this bad, and why does it feel like no one is in control? Over recent years, nighttime violence has stopped being an occasional headline and has become a regular feature of the news cycle. Weekends, once associated with leisure, nightlife, and social gatherings, are increasingly marked by police cordons, flashing blue lights, and grim statistics released the following morning. Hospital emergency departments report spikes in serious injuries after dark, particularly involving young people. Paramedics describe scenes of chaos, while doctors warn that the violence they are seeing is more severe, more unpredictable, and often fueled by alcohol, drugs, and unresolved social tensions. At the same time, police numbers across the UK are collapsing under the pressure of years of cuts, recruitment challenges, and rising demand. Officers on the ground say they are being asked to do more with less, covering larger areas with fewer colleagues, often working long shifts with little backup. Response times are lengthening, neighborhood patrols are vanishing, and proactive policing has been replaced by a reactive scramble to deal with the most serious incidents as they happen. For many residents, the change has been gradual but unmistakable. People speak of streets that used to be busy and welcoming at night, now falling silent as shops close early and families stay indoors. Taxi drivers report refusing fares to certain areas after dark. Night bus routes are avoided. Parents worry about teenagers traveling home in the evening, and older residents say they no longer feel confident leaving the house after sunset. This is not just a fear driven by headlines, it is a lived experience shaping daily behavior across the country. Police leaders have been frank about the challenges they face. In many forces, officer numbers remain well below levels seen a decade ago, despite recent recruitment drives. Even where new officers have been hired, many are inexperienced and still in training, while seasoned officers leave due to burnout, stress, and dissatisfaction. The result is a fragile frontline, struggling to maintain order during the most volatile hours of the night. Nighttime economies, once celebrated as engines of growth, are now under intense strain. Bars, clubs, and late-night venues are caught in the middle, facing rising security costs, stricter licensing conditions, and growing scrutiny from authorities. Business owners say they want to provide safe environments, but without visible policing outside their doors, problems spill onto the streets. Arguments escalate into fights, minor disputes turn violent, and weapons are increasingly part of the equation. Knives in particular have become a symbol of Britain's nighttime violence crisis. Knife-related incidents continue to dominate the statistics, with many attacks taking place during evening and night hours. Campaigners warn that knife crime is no longer confined to major cities and is spreading into smaller towns and rural areas. The ease with which young people can carry weapons, combined with a lack of deterrence, has created a dangerous mix that plays out most brutally after dark. Communities hardest hit by nighttime violence often feel abandoned. Residents speak of repeatedly reporting trouble, only to be told that officers are unavailable or delayed. When police do arrive, it is often after the damage is done. Trust erodes, frustration grows, and some people begin to believe they are on their own. This sense of abandonment is perhaps one of the most damaging consequences of collapsing police numbers, as it undermines the very idea of public safety. Behind the scenes, police forces are grappling with complex realities. Nighttime violence is rarely just about crime alone. It intersects with mental health crises, substance abuse, homelessness, and social deprivation. Officers frequently act as first responders to situations that go far beyond traditional policing, from mental health emergencies to safeguarding vulnerable individuals. With specialist services stretched or unavailable at night, the burden falls on an already overstretched police force. The strain is visible in the statistics, but it is even clearer in the stories from the front line. Officers describe nights where calls stack up faster than they can be answered. Domestic violence incidents, street fights, missing persons, and serious assaults all compete for attention. Decisions have to be made about which emergencies take priority, knowing that delays in one case could have life-changing consequences. This constant pressure takes a toll, both professionally and personally. Political leaders have been drawn into the debate, trading accusations over responsibility for the crisis. Years of austerity measures are frequently cited as a root cause, with critics arguing that sustained underfunding hollowed out policing capacity. Others point to deeper social issues, including inequality, lack of youth services, and the erosion of community structures that once helped prevent violence before it began. While promises are made and strategies announced, many people on the ground see little immediate change. The impact on young people is particularly troubling. Nighttime violence disproportionately affects the under 25s, both as victims and perpetrators. Youth workers warn that a lack of safe spaces, limited opportunities, and a growing sense of hopelessness are pushing some young people towards dangerous behavior. Social media adds another layer, with online disputes quickly escalating into real-world confrontations, often arranged to take place at night when supervision is lowest. Families affected by nighttime violence speak of devastating consequences. Lives are lost, futures are shattered, and communities are left grieving. Each incident sends ripples of trauma through families, schools, and neighborhoods. For many, the pain is compounded by a belief that the violence was preventable, that with more officers, better resources, or earlier intervention, tragedy might have been avoided. There is also a growing concern about the normalization of violence. When headlines about stabbings and assaults become routine, there is a risk that society becomes desensitized. What once shocked now barely registers. Campaigners warn that this complacency is dangerous, allowing the problem to worsen unchecked. Nighttime violence should not be accepted as an inevitable part of modern Britain, yet for many it increasingly feels that way. Efforts to address the crisis are underway, but progress is uneven. Some areas have invested in targeted patrols during peak nighttime hours, while others rely on temporary measures such as surge funding or short-term operations. Community initiatives aim to divert young people away from violence, offering mentoring, education, and support. However, these programs often operate on limited budgets and struggle to achieve scale. Technology has been promoted as part of the solution, with increased use of CCTV, body-worn cameras, and data-driven policing. While these tools can help identify hotspots and gather evidence, they cannot replace the physical presence of officers on the streets. Many residents argue that what they want most is visibility, the reassurance of seeing police patrols at night, deterring trouble before it starts. As Britain grapples with this crisis, questions about the future loom large. Can police numbers be restored to a level that allows effective nighttime policing? Will political will translate into sustained investment, or will short-term fixes continue to dominate? How can communities be rebuilt to reduce the underlying causes of violence rather than simply reacting to its consequences? The sense of urgency is growing. Each night that passes without meaningful change reinforces the feeling that Britain is teetering on the edge. The balance between safety and fear, order and chaos feels increasingly fragile. For those living in affected areas, this is not an abstract debate. It is a nightly reality that shapes how they live, move, and interact with the world around them. What is clear is that nighttime violence is not a problem that can be solved in isolation. It demands a coordinated response involving policing, social services, education, healthcare, and local communities. Without this joined-up approach, police will continue to be overwhelmed and the cycle of violence will persist. As the lights go out across Britain tonight, the question remains unanswered. Who is protecting the streets? Until police numbers are stabilized, communities supported, and the root causes of violence addressed, the country will remain on edge, bracing itself for the next siren, the next headline, and the next family whose life is changed forever by a night that should have been ordinary. Britain's nighttime crisis isn't just about crime. It's about trust, safety, and a system under strain. If you believe these stories deserve attention, clarity, and accountability, stay with Power and Policy UK. Subscribe for in-depth UK news, policy breakdowns, and the realities behind the headlines. Because understanding power is the first step to changing it.